Welcome back to another episode of the Mind of Reese. I'm so glad you're here. Today is going to be a fun day. I'm so excited. I realized that I am heading to the Cook Islands in 2 days, and I should probably get a podcast episode in before I go. And so I figured get this podcast episode in and really, deepen into the adventure of big goals and why they feel so hard. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with my partner, Andy, and we were cracking up because this happened. This is our normal. It's our normal in it. And I recall the times when I had goals like this, years and years ago, where I was like, I'm going to be a world traveler and I want to just be able to get up and go wherever I want and not make it a dream, not make it a vision board thing. I fucking hate vision boards. If you like vision boards, all the fucking power to you. I think it's such a waste of fucking time. For me, it's like, I don't want to visualize it. I just want to fucking do it. And so it's more in my mind. Like if I decide that I'm going to go somewhere and, I just make it happen. I'm like, how do I make this happen? Even if it's a few years from now, I'm like, I'm going to make this happen. Well, it's my new normal now where we're like, oh, we literally saw this place in a magazine. We looked it up. We bought the tickets literally like that day. And now the day has arrived and I didn't even realize. I was like, oh shit, we're going to the Cook Islands, which is it's like islands near Tahiti and Bora Bora. And yeah, we rented this like really dope cabana on the water, and it's just like a super like rural spot. You probably could, walk across the entire island within a couple of hours. Like it's so tiny. And so it's just like, we're really, really excited. But what I'm saying is that like this big adventure, this adventure of the goal, and, I do recall moments when it felt really hard and how it's changed so much for me in the way that I plan goals even now because of this work that I do and this methodology that I actually teach within the ARC and within all of my spaces. I call it the Body Wise and Wealthy method, on how we somatically calibrate our nervous systems around big ass goals, big ass dreams, whatever it might be, so that you can call them in faster versus just saying, oh, maybe one day. I fucking hate that terminology. If you're going to be a student of mine, I don't like one day. You already know I don't like one day. Okay. It's always like, well, why not today? It is your job to feel ready. It is your job to bet on you. It is your job to trust yourself like your motherfucking life depended on it. Okay, nobody else is going to bet on you. Nobody else is going to root for you. Not even your biggest loved ones. Not even your biggest fans. Not even your hubby. Like my man, he's my number one motherfucking fan. But he don't know what I do. And if I'm not sold on it myself, he's not going to be sold on it. He's just going to be like, well, love you. Hope it all works out. Right? He's not going to do anything about that. Like he's got his own shit going on. So I got to believe in myself. I got to invest in myself. So I don't believe in vision boards. I believe in visions that I create focused plans toward. And so today's episode is going to be really for the bold dreamer, the wild motherfucking achiever, the pathway maker, the movement shaker, anyone who is staring down a big juicy goal and wondering why it feels so fucking hard. We're going to get into that today. So I just want you to know that I see you, whether you're dreaming of doing what you love full time or hitting your first 10K month, or maybe it's chasing the audacity of the 100K month. Ayo, this is for you. Because let me tell you, this path feels like an adventure. Like any good adventure, it's going to come with some motherfucking plot twists. And so what I love about this, and here's what the kicker is, one of the biggest game changers in the big goal journey is not just the strategy, it's how you take care of your nervous system and learn to feel safe holding the energy of your goals. The reason why I love the aspect of goals as an adventure, because it changes the framework that goals are hard, quote unquote, or that goals need to feel, just this I feel like it's sometimes, and I want you to just think about this, take a moment and what is if I say the term goals, or when you say goals in your body, how does that make you feel? I think when I think of oh, here's my goal, I sometimes find myself, it depending upon how stretchy it is in my body, I'm going to feel this uncomfortability or I'm going to feel this massive excitement. Or I might feel really excitement and then all of a sudden my energy drops to the impossible because my mind wants to create a story of all the reasons why it won't work. right? So this is what's happening constantly in the body. Anytime the nervous system conversation that we are having right now, my nervous system talking to your nervous system, the things that I am saying filtering through your lens, your beliefs, your behaviors, your personality, your personal reality, that's all being filtered through you, and your nervous system is reacting to my nervous system, and we're going back and forth, ping-ponging, like ping pong, basically. And so this is where you just got to really understand that everything you do, every conversation, every sale, every tattoo, every relationship, social media, content, everything that you do is based around your nervous system and the imprints that are created from experiences imprinted on your nervous system in your body that are constantly the filter of how you operate in the world or what you think or what you do. Okay, so the thing about big goals, they come with this like magnetic energy. It feels like, once I hit that number, everything is going to change. It's going to be so fucking epic. And that energy is so beautiful. It's fuel. It's what gets us started. And then all of a sudden the reality hits. And then the doubts start to creep in and the goal starts to feel far away. And maybe your brain kicks in with, what if this never happens? What if I'm not good enough? And the truth is, that's where people drop off. We're talking about 99% of people, let's say 94% of people, this is where they drop off. 94% of people. Reason why I went from 99 to 94 is because there are 6% of the world out of however many billion people on this planet. 6% of those billions make over 100K, which I think is quite a small number. 6% of a billion people, like 3-4 billion people on this planet. I mean, I feel like that is just that right there is a nervous system check, a mindset check, a rewiring, a subconscious rewiring moment, inner child reparenting, parts work. Like these are the things that a lot of people are like, nah, not a vibe. I'm not going to do. I just want the strategy. When we think about that just being the strategy, you're finding yourself thinking, okay, well, A, B, if I just do A, B, and C of what this person had told me because it worked for them and it worked for all these other people, it should work for me, right? Well, then everybody should be a fucking millionaire. Everybody should be a fucking millionaire. That's where I'm at. There's 1 out of 15 people in America that are a millionaire. I think that's pretty fucking awesome. You should be one of that 15. Isn't that crazy? You should be one of that 15. Why? Because I said so. Why not? So when we think about this, you're talking about, everybody should at least be making 100K, right? When on average, tattooers make anywhere from 3 to 5K a month, which doesn't equate anywhere close, which is great. I think 3 to 5K is actually really fucking wonderful. You're talking about at least like 50, 60 grand a year is an amazing amount of money. It's a great living. And at the same time, if you wanted to hit that 100K, you're talking about 6% of the population of the planet make over 100K. Then if it was only about the strategy, wouldn't that percentage be higher? Wouldn't the percentage of people making over 100K be higher? You'd think so, right? If it was only about the strategy. See, and this is where regulating the nervous system and working with our bodies really works, really comes in. This is the key point. So if we don't know how to regulate and work with the body, this is where we freeze and we quit. And the truth is, this is exactly where the adventure gets really good. Because all of a sudden, your body is trying to tell you, is trying to give you signs like, hey, I don't feel comfortable here. And your reaction to how you don't feel comfortable in a position, all of a sudden, it causes you to either take a look at it, shine the light on a shadow within you. That's like, this is interesting. This is different. This doesn't feel good, but not feeling good doesn't mean wrong. And that's what society has taught us. This doesn't feel good, so it's wrong. I shouldn't feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. I must remove myself from this way. We must leave that behind and go to what is right. Because what feels good doesn't mean it feels right. Doesn't mean it's right. Just because it feels good doesn't mean it's right. But that's what we say to ourselves. Oh no, this feels good. But is it right? Yeah, because like, yeah, it does. It feels so good when I eat 2.5 cookies in a day. It feels good. I can eat those cookies, but is it gonna feel right? Nah, because my tummy is gonna motherfucking hurt, okay? Like, that's gonna hurt my tummy. But it feels right in the moment. Doesn't that mean it's an alignment, Reese? No, there is a difference. Because we are always needing to lean into the edge. So if you're not leaning into your edge, then you're not having a fun enough adventure. And you're definitely not going to be in your evolution. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be, it doesn't just stretch the strategy. It stretches your nervous system. Your body starts saying, hey, this feels unsafe. Let's stop it right here, right? And when the adventure gets good, it's when you're like, oh, whoa, I'm feeling resistance. What is that? Getting curious, experimenting. If you can shift with the reaction, if you can have the reaction of freeze for a moment, you're like, holy shit, I really want to quit. I want to burn it all down to the ground. I don't want to be here anymore. Can I get curious with that reaction? Can I allow it to be felt, but also be the witness to the feeling? Not being in the feeling and not being in the story. And this is where the work comes through. This is where the Body Wise and Wealthy comes through, because we be calibrating our nervous systems around 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K months, right? Like whatever your flavor is, let's get there. So the thing is that this is where you calibrate the nervous system, where you hold the vision, even when it feels out of reach, and keep your system grounded in the process. When we get to this phase of like, okay, I can get curious, I can experiment, I can shift, I can hold this feeling, stretch my nervous system, stretch the capacity to have resiliency within my body, understand that doubts are not a bad feeling. It's just a sign from my body that we are meeting an edge on what I believe I am capable of. Whoa, what a reframe. That's a reframe. We just reframed doubt, fear, procrastination, imposter syndrome, all protection mechanisms from your body because you have met an edge on what you believe you are capable of. And you get to get curious about that edge. And so you become curious. You start to stretch. You're like, okay, this is great. And then you start to move in that direction. And you start to go and you start to move and you start to realize you're like, okay, let's do this new way. And we're starting to shift the identity. You're starting to have a death of an old version of you, a birth of a new version of you that's really contracting. There's a lot of resistance there, but you keep moving, you keep showing up, you keep doing the thing, you keep holding the doubt and the fear, the procrastination, whatever it might be. And then there's this next phase that happens. There's a phase in every journey where you don't feel the momentum that you want, right? Like there's this phase in the journey, and you're doing the work, you're showing up, putting in the effort, and it still feels like nothing is moving. That phase, that's the fucking hardest phase. That beginning phase is the hardest phase, because that's when your brain is screaming, it's not happening, you're not safe, let's give up before we feel more disappointment. It's not just mental, it's deeply fucking somatic. And that's where that nervous system comes in. That's where you've just gotten curious. You're learning to ground yourself. You're soothing your body where the fear kicks in, and to find safety inside yourself, even when the results aren't here yet, is everything. This is how we become a visionary, because your body has to feel safe to expand into those next levels. But safety doesn't mean that you feel comfortable. That's not what safety is. Safety doesn't mean you feel comfortable. Safety is in trust in yourself. Now that's a very different aspect, because safety means that I feel safe in myself. I don't feel comfortable in this next move I'm going to make, but I feel safe because I trust that no matter what fucking happens, I am going to make it and everything is going to fucking work out. Otherwise, you'll unconsciously resist the very thing you're trying to create. That's why in that moment you got curious. You were like, I'm going to come next to my edges. I'm going to understand that uncomfortable doesn't mean bad. Uncomfortable just means uncomfortable. There's no good or bad about it. There's no good about bad about anything. So when I'm saying, okay, I'm deeply uncomfortable, that doesn't mean bad. That doesn't mean good. Can I get curious? Get curious about the thing, understand that my thoughts and my brain is really trying to keep me safe in the protector mode, and allowing myself to continue to move. Right? And let's say we do that. Like I said, we start, the death and the rebirth. We've done the work. We're doing this work. And all of a sudden, what happens when we hit the goal? You touch it. You finally get there and it's amazing. but it's not that big relief you always thought it would be. If you've ever pedestaled a goal, which don't lie to me, I know you have, you're probably still doing it now. Hey-yo, me too. Okay. You're like, when I get there, I'll be good enough. Then I'll feel successful. Then you get there and you're already thinking, well, what's next? What's next? What's next after this? You don't even stop to celebrate the part of the goal that happened that you were so deeply afraid of stepping into that new version of you to get to. And again, here we are, desiring another thing, because desire is infinite. It doesn't stop. And this is where the somatic work changes the game again. When you're connected to your body, you're not chasing the goal from a place of lack. You're chasing it from a place of wholeness, and you're able to celebrate the moment without needing it to validate you. And then you're ready to move on to the next thing without the constant feeling of I'm still not enough. And so when I think about, okay, the somatic work, when we start this, okay, we move past the doubt, we understand, we trust, we begin to trust, we strengthen that resiliency muscle to move even when it feels scary. Then we reach the goal. And see, this is where a lot of people also create a gap instead of a gain. They never look back at where they're going. They're always looking forward of where they've never been. Okay, well, yeah, discount all the things that I've ever done. And I'm only going to look forward to what's happening right now or what's happening then. Oh, well, it's so far away. The next thing, we're always chasing a horizon line. And that's why we always stay in the gap. That's why we always stay in lack. That's why we always stay in scarcity. Because all of a sudden, now that goal that I just hit is no longer good enough. And I want to hit the next goal. So there's this aspect of this like almost like we're like running in circles with, oh, the goal's too scary. I don't want to take action. And now that I finally taken action on the goal, and now the goal doesn't get me the relief that I desire. I'm going to say this, that you have to be rich in mind, body, and soul long before you will ever be rich in your bank account. I'm gonna say that again. You will have to be rich in mind, body, and soul before you will ever be rich in your bank account. Because even if you hit the goals, you hit them again and again and again, it will never give you the relief that you're actually worthy. And that wealth, the abundance, the money doesn't actually feel as good. I don't actually feel wealthy inwardly, so all the wealth I receive outwardly isn't going to change that. And this is where the next thing that comes in, when all of a sudden, oh, the best it's ever been. The best it's ever been energy. Oh, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was so much better than it is now. I feel defeated. I feel like it can't change. You know, it's like these aspects, like where we compare our old self to the present self. Because the old self was doing so much better than the present self. And so it's really interesting because I was having this conversation. I've had this conversation several times, not only in my spaces, but just out and about, you know, with other tattooers and conventions and things like this. And it's this mindset of like, oh, the best is always, the best already came and went. It'll never get better. And then give my power away to everything outside of me. And I want to really ask them the question. I was like, did you actually feel good when you did hit those goals? Or were those goals not good enough? And now you're in this position. See, the thing is, the way that I understand things is that like the things that we desire, the things that we want in our lives, the universe desires it back. The universe is constantly conspiring in your favor. But I do want to preface that if you are trying to force something in your business and they can't get to that and they're trying to force this pathway, they're trying to force the way it needs to be done, I'm going to trust that the universe has my back enough to make it fail. Because the only time that we are going to choose a different path is when we get off of our stubborn ass and realize that, hey, maybe that pathway wasn't the way it was meant to work. Because oftentimes we're trying to control how we get to the thing. No, I only want to be doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. Yes, of course, I only want you to be doing the one style that you fucking love. And at the same time, I want you to know that we don't want to put so much pressure on our passion, love on the things that are coming to us, and keep going toward the direction of how it is that I want to create this one particular style. How can I make myself, who is the artist that I need to be in order for me to step into that level of me that's going to create a business for this style of art that I want to do. And so this is constantly us having to try and witness where we're at. Because the people that are like, oh, it was always the best that I'm the best that'll ever happen, right? Like the best is came and went. It'll never get better than it was. And that's what I believe. And so when we think about it that way, when we think about life that way, you got to think about, well, can I honestly say that I was ever even happy when it was really good? Like, can I say that I was like actually really proud of myself? Did I give myself kudos, or did I just move on to the next thing? I can absolutely say that there has been a time where I have made an 80K launch in one of my programs. I made a $25,000 launch when it came to opening my books. And then I've had 0K launches. I've also had it where it dipped so low. Am I going to be, like, for me, the way that I look at this is that, like, am I going to be upset by the fact that, oh, it just didn't happen like it used to? Or am I going to shift the way that I'm going to be doing things because maybe that pathway is just not the pathway for me anymore? Maybe I've got to experiment and get curious, because oftentimes when the pathway is hard and it feels hard, there is a reason, and it is asking you to open up your eyes and look for a different avenue, a different pathway. And oftentimes it might not be a doing pathway, an actionable step pathway. It's maybe a line of thinking and a line of being. When I think I had this conversation with you guys last week in the last episode where I was like, oh yeah, I only had 12 people email me. It's the lowest amount of emails I've had in, I think, the last 5 years. Am I going to make that mean something about me? I could absolutely make that mean something about me, but I didn't. And then it ended up turning out incredibly well. Whoa, 12 emails booked me out for 6 months. When I used to get 100 emails that would book me out the same, because I had to weed out all of these other emails and all of these smaller projects, but now everybody wants to do large projects because that was the thing that I was working toward. I only wanted to do large-scale projects. I've only wanted to do large-scale projects for a long time now, and I have been. But now we're planning them at the beginning of our journey versus, oh, well, let's just get another tattoo and another tattoo. Now it's like people are planning them way ahead of time, so that weeds out all of the people that are not meant for me. So I'm not going to get mad that 12 emails came through and that I might only be booked out a month. I'm just going to be grateful for it. Fuck yeah, I'm booked out for a month. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then maybe I'm going to switch the way that I've been doing things because that way obviously didn't work. It doesn't mean anything about me, but the only reason why I am able to say that and truly mean that from the embodied aspect of my fucking soul is because I did this nervous system work. It's because I have to do it every single day. Every single day I have moments of doubt. Every single day I have the thought of like, oh fuck, what is this? What if this doesn't work? Oh shit, what if I'm not helping people? What if I'm not getting them the results? Oh my God, that happens. It's human. I allow my human to human. That's just the only difference between me and someone else that feels like it's really fucking hard. See, I'm in the business of I'm in the business of helping people have a business that does hard things with ease. We're not trying to get rid of or get away from the hard things. We are just trying to move through them in a different way than we ever have before. And that is truly what's going to help you and take you out of the space of goals, create this identity of I'm not good enough. And instead, goals get to be so fucking fun and amazing, and we get to shift and turn it all around and create a redirection. What's the redirection? What if it does fucking work out? What if it just did work out and I'm not seeing it right now? What if me only booking out a month, which didn't happen, but that's what I was like, oh, we got 12 emails, maybe I'll only book out a month. Okay, cool, because I assumed only half of them might be what I want to do. And so 6 emails, okay, well then I guess that, that's good enough. No, actually all 12 emails, great emails, all large projects, all wanted them done basically yesterday, so they're like booking out days and days, so many days, 6 to 8 days in advance, they paid for in deposits, like thousands of dollars, like crazy. Had I had a different way of thinking, that could have meant so much worse for me. I could have had a really shitty 2 days of waiting for this all to happen and for it to kind of boil down. And for my assistant to tell me, oh my gosh, actually, that booked you out until fucking April and May. And I was like, wait, what? No, instead, I went through life being like, this is the best day of my life energy because everything is going to work out. And what I'm going to do, all this means to me is that maybe I just got to shift my direction. I just got to shift the way that I show up. I just got to kind of find a different way, a different avenue. How can I get more creative with the way that I show up in the world? But the only reason why I'm able to get curious like that is because I have a deep level of trust in myself. And that deep level of trust comes from the somatic work that I do every single fucking day. And that's why spaces like my new masterclass called Fuck Around and Find Out are so fucking important. It's not just about hitting the fucking goal. It's about understanding what drives your desire, regulating your nervous system along the way, and keeping your momentum alive even when things feel uncertain. So making yourself a long-term investment. If you're on this journey, you're not just working toward a goal. You might think that because that's the short term, but when you be working with me, honey, we over here playing the long game. This is about legacy work. I'm trying to create sustainability, not for just this booked out session, but for years to fucking come. You're becoming someone who can hold more, create more, and lead more. That's what it means to go deeper into this leadership work. And part of that leadership is learning to care for the parts of yourself that feel overwhelmed or scared. It's about slowing down when your system is dysregulated, grounding yourself, and reminding your body that it's safe to dream big. And this is why nervous system regulation is a non-negotiable in the big goal game. Because it's not about muscling through or forcing your way there. It's about working with your body, not against it. And that's what makes you magnetic. That's what keeps you in the game longer than most. And that's why I created Fuck Around and Find Out Masterclass. This isn't about small moves or settling for less. It's about deciding to go for that big, audacious goal and sticking with it, even when it feels like it's the hardest thing in the fucking world. And in this masterclass, I'm going to be breaking down how I've shifted from the starving artist vibes to stepping fully into my spiritual CEO energy. And I'll also be sharing how I regulate my nervous system when things feel impossible and how you can create safety in your body for bigger and bigger moves. I'm also going to give you all of the behind the scenes of how I've built my brand and how I'm going to literally call in $1 million quarter. Which is bananas, which is 10xing my business. All right, loves, that's it for today. I'm pretty sure Kayla's here. Heyo! Remember, the adventure is always worth it. And if you've been waiting for a sign to go all in on your vision, this is it. So, just find the masterclass in the show notes, and I will see you in the next episode.